Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the American Space Museum. I'm Mark Marquette. We're so glad you're with us today to stay curious, kicking off our first Stay Curious program in the month of February, and always a busy month with a lot of cool things going on. And I want to say hi to Marty Winkle, who is off on some personal business. Say hi, Marty, on my UCAC family microphone here.
Hey, Mark, hope you all hear me okay.
Yeah, I'll bet they are as I push my buttons here to get our museum up here. Let me do that real quick here. Hope everybody's had a good weekend. The groundhog saw its shadow, so we're going to have winter anyway for 6 more weeks, just like astronomers say we are. And I'm going to try to get my. There we are live on here. February 11 shuttle launches and 3 in February. How about that? 3 on February 3rd launched today. So let me push the comments there and see who's commenting. Oh, I'm being challenged here, Marty, uh, to put to see
Gary
the
Gary, Gary Gerald and Doug Stangy and Mitch Laughlin.
good. Let me see their comments there. Not coming up there at a second. Let me try to effort that. We're going to talk about 3 shuttles launched on today. Okay, and I hit live. Okay, and then why am I not seeing the comments below there? Wait, see more. Any rate, we've got a rocket launch today at after 6 o'clock. They're going to put it's going to land, Marty, out here. So we all love that when that happens. And doggone it, I'm not seeing your comments on there. And without Marty here, I really kind of need to see him. So, we'll effort that here in a minute or two. Pushing the right buttons. Anyway, let's get up here and talk about the American Space Museum. If you're not helping us, like Steve Jokums and Mitch Rothman and all you wonderful people out there, why not? And we're getting Shuttle Fest ready here. Um, and I am really don't know what's going on there. That I can't see your comments, but I'm going to try it again.
Well, I
Description.
can text you. I can text you if he's watching. Commenting.
Yeah, you could go. I'm not going to have a lot of input from our guests here. What the one day it doesn't do it, I'm going to just reboot the whole thing. Okay. Well, there's the outside of our museum. We're doing some beautiful um, roadside appearance type of thing inside and out the museum. Hope we've had a good group of people here today from France. We had France in the building, Marty, today. And uh, actually, I might be able to do this on my phone better on here. So, yep, I'm fumbling around today, folks. Sorry about that. But, Marty, you still there? Okay. All right. Let me push my YouTube on here, see if it comes up. We want everybody to know that this is Black History Month. We're going to be talking about some uh, African American astronauts all throughout the month and featuring them. We always enjoy doing that. And there's Tom Celentano, Tom Usiak, John Borelli. Uh, Tom Celentano said he saw all 3 launches in February. Was lucky for me. He saw 3 launches in February. 99, 130, and 133. We'll talk about that. Steve Jokums is there. Got Gary Gerald, like you said, Marty, and Dave Stangy. And good afternoon to Mitch Rothman. Just a little, but he's north of you and south of me, I think, Marty. Our charity auction is this Saturday, February 8th. All right, this is important how we keep the doors open here at the museum. So please, if you got some expendable money for wonderful artifacts, space flown flags, astronaut autographs, There you got a coin that was on the moon, some thermal protection gap filler that flew. Chuck Jeffrey's doing a great job. 350 lots. The gavel starts at noon tomorrow, Saturday. And Marty, I got your check here in the museum for what you made off of your Mylar at the last auction, I believe. I haven't looked at the auction yet. We're going to talk about it a lot on Wednesday, all right, and Thursday and Friday to boot. But Wednesday, I'm going to hit a lot of, show you some lots in there and talk about it in there. Actually, no, I take that back. Wednesday, we have Gary Allgaier here. He's going to do a talk on the 14th, on the landing of Apollo 14 is February 5th. So I'm going to have Gary in here, Marty, talking about that. And so tomorrow I'll probably do some of the auction and hit it heavy on Thursday. And Shuttle Fest, okay. I just spent a bunch of money on an event tent to put out beside the facility of Hyatt Place, so you can enjoy maybe breakfast with Joe Tanner or John Grunsfeld. They're going to be there and they're going to be hungry, so they got to eat. So we're going to have an event tent to hang out from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night, particularly have an adult beverage, talk to the presenters there. So it's going to be really, really cool, shaping up good there. So we still have tickets left at $90 to pre-register. The only walk-ins allowed will be astronauts. We're getting all that together. So on this date in space history, Marty, on February 3rd, 1966, the Luna 9 was the first object to safely land on another world. Okay. Now this separated from the descent stage, as you see, that fell and made a crater on the moon. This, of course, is an illustration, and over on the in the back is the descent module, and it ejected this ball that bounced a few times, and then the pedals opened. All right, and when the pedals opened, it was a controlled impact. It threw out. It detected radiation. It had a radiation scientific experiment on there, and it operated for 3 days. Beach ball size. The pedals opened up to upright it. Antennas went out, and it took a couple photos. So that was the very first time an object was landed from Earth onto another world, February 3rd, 1966. And have I got a picture of that? There is one of the pictures of the surface. I got to go get my script, Marty. My pictures. Hold on, everybody. Oh, boy. Yep. So we're live, obviously, here. So there we are. Beautiful picture. That is the surface of the moon. First time we ever saw that in 1966. That is almost 60 years ago, 59 years ago. And now we're talking about going to the South Pole of the moon with a whole bunch of cameras on the unmanned probes have shown us new stuff there. So Luna 9. It also threw out, Marty, a bunch of communist propaganda metal medallions that had the sickle and hammer in them that were scattered out there on the moon's surface. Well, January 31st was the launch date of this beast, the Apollo 14 Saturn V rocket going to the moon. It was an afternoon launch. Marty's lunar module number, what would that have been? 12, 5 was 11, 12 was 6, 7 was 13. So this would be number 8, LM8, right, Marty?
That's correct.
And with Al Shepard, okay, Ed Mitchell, and Stu Rosa on board. And we're going to be talking about that with Gary Allgaier on Wednesday, the day of the landing, when it was really important and I think underestimated how this was a return to flight like none other, Marty. It really was, because the Apollo 13 tragedy had some people, well, it wasn't a fatal tragedy, but the failure of it had some people wanting to end NASA's space program. So Well, let's get into the shuttles of the month of February. Something that got us here and Stay Curious is the shuttles of the month. And we have 3 shuttles that were launched on February 3rd. Let's look at these shuttles here as we look at the whole month of them there. Marty, the what's the icon to take the banner off the top? Okay, thank you.
I got it.
These are some really, of course, I think they're all important of the 135, but some real interesting missions here. And Marty, you and I've met a lot of these astronauts on these missions, coincidentally. OV 102, Columbia was launched once. OV 99, Challenger was launched once. OV 103, the workhorse of the shuttle era, Discovery was launched 4 times. And Atlantis 3 and Endeavour twice in the month of February with the 11 flights. 106 days in space, 67 people orbited the Earth, 66 of them. Janice Voss did it twice. The first untethered EVA by Bruce McCandless, we'll talk about that in a minute. 41B is the launch on a February 3rd. The first Mir rendezvous with the Mir space station was launched on February 3rd. Need to put the years on there. And the first female pilot, Eileen Collins, was launched on STS-63 on February 3rd. The last ISS hardware launched to the space station was the Cupola, and our friend Kay Heyer on STS-130 there's a February 8th launch. And the second Hubble upgrade with our soon-to-be new best friend when you attend Shuttle Fest, Joe Tanner, was launched in February. So let's look at the symbols, as you know I love to do, for the meaning of each of these iconic shuttle emblems. 41B, now that's the General Accounting Office way of the 4 was 84 fiscal year, which goes from October to October. The 1 is because it was launched at Kennedy Space Center. If it was a 2, it was going to be Vandenberg, and B is like ABC of the manifest. The Space Shuttle Challenger making its 4th space flight highlights the 41B insignia. It is shown with wheels down to mark the first landing scheduled for Kennedy Space Center. And you're going to see photos of that taken by our friend MarQ. Challenger is flanked by an illustration of the PAMD assist satellite. The PAM was the solid rocket booster that put it out of the safely when it was out of the payload bay. They ignited that to go to orbit. An astronaut making the first non-tethered extravehicular activity, EVA, and 11 stars. The 11 stars symbolize the mission's original designation as STS-11. That's right, this was going to just be STS-11. The EVA illustration features the manned maneuvering unit, a debuting backpack motor apparatus allowing for much greater freedom of movement. Surnames of the 5 astronaut crew members balance this work by the great Robert McCall, artist. You got Vance Brand. Let's talk about those flights here. Vance Brand was Apollo Soyuz Test Project. Vance Brand and Bruce McCandless was on board. You got Hoot Gibson was the rookie pilot, all right, being trained by Vance Brand. Hoot would later become a commander and have 5 shuttle missions. Ron McNair was on board, handled the remote manipulator arm. Let's see what I got here. There we are. There's everybody there. Vance Brand is in the bottom, and Hoot is right beside him with the mustache. Upper left side there is Ron McNair. Of course, he lost his life in Columbia. And then upside down is Bruce McCandless, and sideways there is Bob Stewart, who later flew the he also did a turn on the untethered flight on there, but McCandless got all the love because he was the one that did for the first time on there. They refurbished a satellite and carried it back into space. It was the first refurbished satellite, a German-built SPA that was taken up there. And here's the rocket launches by the Usiak brothers on February 3rd, 1984. All right, beautiful, beautiful shot we've become accustomed to. There's McCandless all the way out, far away from humanity. There was thrusters on that to bring him back. Quite a event. McCandless rehearsed for this he said he was overtrained. I read in a book, and his son Bruce McCandless II and um, Emily Carney wrote a book together that's become real popular. There's the first landing at Kennedy Space Center by MarQ. Got the mist like we had this morning, Marty. Quite foggy here this morning on there. Dean Babcock says hi, and he got to see the cupola as it was being processed in the SSPF. Well, I know the thrill of that, Dean, because I saw Leonardo in the SSPF when they were doing those tours. That was cool that you and I both got to see that. And hello, Doug Forrest. And another close-up coming down, wheels just about down on Challenger as she's coming back from her 4th flight to space there. And then they had a little, they brought the astronauts out to Kennedy Space Center in front of the Rocket Garden. And that was kind of a cool setup there after an hour or so when they came back orbiting the Earth there. So, yes, it's Black History Month, and we're going to be celebrating African American men and women, not just the astronauts, but others involved in there. But of course, the trio of Ron McNair, Guy Bluford, and Fred Gregory. And of course, Bluford was the first one to fly on STS-8. There's Ron McNair in space with the IMAX camera up there. I guess it wasn't I guess it's an Aeroflex camera, but on his one mission up there. So another flight launched on STS in the month of was STS-60, launched in 1994. Okay, on this date. And let's look at the STS-60 logo as I take this every month. I'm doing this from let me go back there, from our mission handbook there that a lot of you get autographed out there at Kennedy Space Center. Let me see the art of this STS-60. Come on there we are. The design of the crew patch for mission STS-60 depicts the Space Shuttle Discovery's on-orbit configuration. The American and Russian flags symbolize the partnership of two countries and their crew members taking flight into space together for the first time. We had Sergei Krikalev on board, all right, who is one of the most experienced cosmonauts. And now head of their cosmonaut, he's the chief cosmonaut there. The American and Russian flags symbolize the partnership. The open payload bay contains the Space Habitation Module, SpaceHab, a commercial space laboratory for life and material science experiments, and a getaway special bridge assembly in the aft section carry various instruments, both deployable and attached. A scientific instrument to create and measure an ultra vacuum environment and perform semiconductor material science, the Wake Shield facility is shown in the remote manipulator system prior to deployment. That was a little thing that they'd let go, and behind it was a perfect vacuum in space behind it, and they could do all kinds of measurements there. Launched February 3rd, 1997 at 7:10 a.m. and landed February 11th, 1994. And there you have Jan Davis on the left. I just saw Jan last week. We'll talk about Jan here in a minute with her dad's books. Yep, I've got that queued up here. Charlie Bolden there in the middle was the commander. Ken Reitlinger was the pilot. Ken is to the upper right from him. Beside Bolden is Franklin Chang Diaz. Okay. Bolden was on his fourth and last mission, and pilot Reitler was on his second and last. Jan Davis was on her second of third missions. Ron Sega on his first of two. Ron's the upper left-hand corner. Franklin Chang Diaz on his fourth of seven flights, and Krikalev on his third of six space flights there. So, everyone had been to space before. All right, so they all knew, what to do when they got up there to make themselves feel good and get back in the groove up there. So, a great mission. There's Charlie Bolden, who became the NASA administrator in the Obama administration. Again, an African American who's just not been an inspiration to African Americans, but people everywhere. And I understand Charlie's a blast to be around. All right. Tom Celentano says STS-60 was launched in the morning, but none of the big three showed it live despite a cosmonaut being on board for the first time. So he said that irked him. And that was space history, as well as an African American commander. Of course, he wasn't the first one, but still. There's Jan being introduced by Nick Thomas in the lower up there. We may not always reach our goal, but there's recompense in trying. Horizons broaden so much more the higher we are flying. And Jan's dad was an Air Force man like herself, and she wrote a book, Airborne, to parallel their careers. There's a picture I took of Jan out at the Space Center last year. She promises to do some outreach with us here at the American Space Museum and having a book signing. There she is there. Quite an interesting lady, 3 missions. Splits her time between Cocoa Beach, where she grew up, and Huntsville with her husband. And there she is with her book there, Airborne. She wrote a second subsequent book. All right. And there's the walkout photographed by one of the Usiak brothers, probably Mark, out there. Jan's over the leader there, Bolden. And there's Mark Usiak's launch from the press site. And let's see, what time was that? The day of that launch. STS-60. I put that away too quick. Yeah. I thought I said 7:10 a.m. Catching some morning light. And there's Tom Usiak's remote Hasselblad photo of it there, guys. So, all right, let's move on to the third flight of this February 3rd in space history. STS-63 that also took a space hab up, but it also did more than that. It was the first flight of a female shuttle pilot, the second flight of a Russian cosmonaut, and the first to fly around the Russian space station. And there she is, Discovery in all of her glory. Here's the patch. Do I have the crew in there? Yes, I do. We'll see the crew in a minute. But the patch depicts the orbiter maneuvering to rendezvous with the Russian space station Mir. The name Mir is printed in Cyrillic on the side of the station. Visible in the orbiter payload are the Commercial Space Laboratory Space Hab and the Spartan satellite, which are the 2 major payloads of the flight. The 6 points on the rising sun and the 3 stars form mission number 63. I like stuff like that. The United States and Russian flags are at the bottom of the patch, symbolize the cooperation between the 2 countries there. So we've got Elena has joined us, Adhikari. Thank you, Elena. Tom says, Celentano says he wrote to TV critic on the local newspaper about the networks and that about the networks other than CNN not showing the liftoff, and he mentioned my comments in his comment column. Very good. Keep on them. That was not right. That's a cool patch though, showing the mirror there, Marty. The 6 points to the sunrise, 3 stars for 63. You had on board here a crew of 6 under the command of James Weatherby, launched beautifully off the pad there, launched at night at 12:22 a.m. on February 3rd, 1993. Weatherby His third is 6 flights. He's the drummer in the MarQ band. Eileen Collins, up there in the upper right, first of 4 space flights. She is our featured speaker at Shuttle Fest. One of 4 astronauts going to be there. Come and say hello to one of the friendliest space shuttle commanders you'll ever meet. They're all friendly. Andy Allen's friendly, but she's really something else. This was Eileen's a rookie, first of 4 flights. This would be called the Near Mir mission, as Discovery rendezvoused and flew around Mir to verify techniques, communications, navigation sensors, and safety in preparation for the 9 future dockings and crew exchanges. I think there were 7, actually. Other goals were testing spacesuits and tools during spacewalks. The first person born in the United Kingdom, Michael Foale, did 3 of his 6 flights. Michael is right there in the lower right-hand corner. The first African American to do a spacewalk, Bernard Harris, his second and last flight. Bernard Harris is being inducted into the Hall of Fame at the end of May. Other crew members were Janice Voss, her second of 5 missions there, that beautiful lady on the far left, and then she died of cancer. The second Russian to fly inside a shuttle, Vladimir Titov, his third of 4 space flights there. So what a crew there of overachievers there, Marty. And of course, Michael Foale would not only drive by and wave at the Mir space station, but he would occupy it then as one of the occupants down the line. And I want to show you a picture I wish I'd racked up that I think I have in here. I can show real quick. Oh, come on, Mark. There's a picture of one of the Russian cosmonauts looking out the window, kind of forlorn. I don't have that in here, so. But they flew around to check out all of the systems, which was probably a smart thing to do, particularly communications. Talking about Eileen, she got a lot of attention and still does, though she's very humble about it, considers herself just like one of the men. They're doing her job. The book about her, written by our friend Jonathan Ward, Through the Glass Ceiling to the Stars. Jonathan will also be at Shuttle Fest, wedged between Eileen and hopefully Mike Leinbach, who he wrote the definitive book on bringing Columbia home on there. And Mark Theo wants to know where I can get the snazzy shirts. Okay, my snazzy shirt. We might be sell you one at Shuttle Fest there. Space Woman is a documentary that Marty and I were privileged to see last week. Very good. What a story she has. This woman is kind of like not just on the other side of the tracks, but the other side of the tracks was like, even forgotten about. She comes from a dysfunctional family and with a loving sister and other family members, of course. And that was really a cool part of the going back to her home in New York. Marty, where's she from? She's from Elmira, New York?
Mark, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, she's from Elmira. Yeah, this is our official uniform shirt here at the American Space Museum. So our docent shirts there, Mark. Bernard Harris, going to be inducted into the Astronaut Hall of Fame, along with Peggy Whitson. And Peggy Whitson may be orbiting to Earth when this happens on May 30th. So we'll see about that. But can't wait to get Bernard. And he did the EVA there. We sat next to him at the, you talked to him, I think, Marty, at the cocktail challenge last year at Zorella's. And he and Foale did an EVA on the robotic arm up there. So way cool. So there's our 3 shuttles of the month of February. Marty, we've got our friend Tom Jones on STS-98 was launched there. Where's my list here that we'll be talking about Kay Hire, taking the cupola up. The Joe Tanner is on STS 9082. On there, you had an early STS 36 was an early DoD mission launched on February 28th. And then, of course, 133, the last launch of Discovery, was February 24th in 2010. And our good friend Nicole Stott was on that. That artwork there was Robert McCall's finish by Tim Gagnon. And then on 75, on the far left corner there, Andy Allen was the commander of that tethered satellite, which I'm always asking, why aren't we doing tethered satellites from the International Space Station? They found they could control the height of raise and lower a spacecraft, also generate electricity. One of those things that was a great idea and never came to full fruition. So, Marty, thank you for being remotely from us here and down in Florida, taking care of some family business. Perfect job, my friend, remotely. Let me put my big face up there. Let you know that we're going to talk about the auction tomorrow. Then Gary Allgaier has got an interesting program about the Apollo 14 and the docking mechanism that failed numerous times and almost had to abort that landing because they couldn't attach the lunar module and the command module together when they were trying to pull it out of the slaw. And eventually that happened, and it was a very successful mission. In fact, not just successful, but the most accurate landing on the moon by Alan Shepard, and then he had the most accurate splashdown of the Apollo program, about a third of a mile from the aircraft carrier. So thank you all for watching today. Steve Jochum says he was present for STS on 224. See, there's a little heart there that blocks out what I'm seeing there. Yeah, 6 attempts it took there. 220. Oh, that was STS 133. Yep, you saw there. And Mitch Rothman, thank you. He's telling us it took 6 attempts, and Gary Allgaier is going to tell you all about each and every one of them on Wednesday. So Tuesday, we're going to talk about the auction tomorrow. Wednesday, we're going to do some Apollo 14 landing on the moon. And then the rest of the week, we're going to talk about the auction and some space history news. So I'm hoping to see a rocket launch about 6:20, I think it is tonight. And they're going to land that booster back to the landing zone 1. And Marty, they're putting out alerts. Be aware for a boom. Okay, sonic boom when that booster comes back. So,
Yeah, one fell here down in Port St. Louis.
yeah, you might be able to see it up in the sky. You know where to look, my friend. So thanks for a good job, Marty. Julie Clay says thank you. We're always so informative. Thank you, Julie. We appreciate all of our new watchers out there. And Marty, you going to make it back tomorrow or not, you think?
You know, hopefully Wednesday.
Okay. All right, good. Well, we'll do it remote again and tomorrow and have fun with it. So, Marty, thank you so much. Thank you all for watching on Stay Curious. Until tomorrow, I'm Mark Marquette saying we can't wait to see you in our museum to bridge the space between us.
It's a wrap, Mark.
Good job, Marty. Thank you. All right.